Okay, one more number. I call this one, The Legend Will Never Die.
This is another one of those movies I didn't want to see. Don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of Puss in Boots, have been since Shrek 3. But it's been 11 years since I last saw him on the big screen, and it was out of sight, out of mind. Plus, I thought DreamWorks was doing to this movie what Disney did to Strange World. You see, 2022 was the year of the woke apocalypse. I know because I personally watched 30 movies and TV shows last year, and damn near all of it included the feminist and rainbow agenda. And nobody pushed that crap harder than Disney. And as a result, they took some major L's last year. With the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home, everything they did either underperformed or flat out tanked when it came to the box office and streaming. So much so that they fired their CEO. And Strange World was the final straw for them. Like all the entertainment media they put out that year, it too was woke. And they were tired of losing money, so when it came to the ad campaign, there was none. They didn't let anyone know this movie was out. And the timing of it was strange. They put it out in the shadow of Wakanda Forever. And that's significant because studios don't typically compete with their own properties in the box office. They don't want to split the ticket, nor do they put out their works in the shadow of a huge movie. They like to create distance between projects. But Disney didn't do that. They didn't let anyone know that they came up with a new film that they put right behind Wakanda Forever. And rightfully so, because the reviews were terrible. Not only did people not watch it, but the few that did hated it. And the same looked to be happening with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It wasn't aggressively marketed either. Like Strange World, I didn't know this movie was coming out, and I go to the movies often. Plus, I spend a lot of time on social media. And when a movie of this magnitude is coming out, I get wall-to-wall ads and trailers in my feed. But I had no clue this movie was coming. So when I heard about its sudden release, I thought to myself, oh, this is another one of those Strange World scenarios. The studio doesn't want people to see it. And then I saw it available on streaming just 2 weeks after it was released in theaters, which confirmed my suspicion that the movie sucked. Because why would they snatch it out of theaters so early? But then I thought, hey, since it's here and I got nothing else better to do, I might as well watch it. So I watched it. And oh,
it's beautiful. I've looked at this for 5 hours now.
I'm tearing up, man.
Not only is this the animated movie of the year, it might be the best overall movie of the year. I am not exaggerating. This film is flawless. I couldn't believe how good it was. In the first 5 minutes, I was sold. First of all, the animation is gorgeous. It has this CGI animation style similar to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but with a much higher frame rate so it doesn't look choppy. But they do go back between styles during action sequences for dramatic purposes. It was masterfully directed. The screenwriting was excellent. I laughed at every joke. The voice acting was outstanding. Antonio Banderas and Selma Hayek reprised their roles as Puss in Boots and Kitty Softpaws. And the story was fascinating. Even for a kid's movie, I thought it was compelling. In this movie, Puss is trying to regain his honor and vigor as a hero and adventurer. Because Puss is a cat. He was born with 9 lives, but he was reckless with his 9 lives. And in his quest to be an adventurer and gain all the hero's glory, he lost 8 of his 9 lives. And to make matters worse, he's up against an enemy who's determined to take his 9th life. Now, typically this wouldn't be an issue for Puss because he's the best swordsman in the land, but he can't defeat this enemy. And for the first time in his 9 lives, Puss is afraid. As a matter of fact, you see him transition into a coward, and he runs away. But fortunately, he finds a cat lady that's willing to take him in, and he goes into early retirement. He just accepts life as an ordinary house cat. So you see him lose his spirit, his gusto, his drive to be a hero, until he hears about a lost treasure, a treasure that will grant the wish of anyone who finds it. And that's when he comes up with the idea that if he can find this treasure, he can restore the 8 of the 9 lives that he lost, which will cause him to regain his confidence and become the hero he's always been. Now, along the way, the film introduces some new characters. You have Pero, the Chihuahua, who's voiced by Harvey Gillian. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He acts as Puss's loyal sidekick. Then there's Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, voiced by Florence Poe, Ray Winston, Olivia Colman, and Samson Koyo. Then you have John Mulaney, who plays Jack Horner, as the lead antagonist of the movie. But the star of the film, the person who steals the show, is Wagner Moura as the big bad wolf. He did a phenomenal job as a voice actor, and they did a great job designing this character. He's the best villain I've seen in a movie since Heath Ledger's Joker. He was absolutely brilliant. And I hope DreamWorks doesn't let this character go to waste. I hope they spin him off with his own franchise because he was that good. I really want to see more of him. Now, my only issue with the film, and I don't consider this to be a big one, is Selma Hayek's voice has drastically changed since the previous film. I don't know if it's age, smoking, or whatever, but she sounds raspy. She wasn't as smooth as she was in the original. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't take away from the film. You do notice it. But about 5 minutes after her being on camera, it doesn't really matter. It still fits the character. Other than that, I have zero flaws with this film. I don't put much stock into the Academy Awards, but I don't see how this isn't nominated for Best Picture. But yeah, with that said, I don't know why this movie is so slept on, why the studio would disrespect it by not putting a massive marketing campaign behind it, and why they were so quick to put it on streaming. I even went online looking for answers, trying to find an explanation as to why DreamWorks and Paramount didn't advertise this movie properly. And if you know why, let me know in the comments section, but I have my own theory. I think the reason why this film wasn't marketed is because it's not woke. You see, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a throwback to what family movies used to be about, before Hollywood decided that we all needed a lecture on how to be better people. It isn't overrun with social progressive messaging, so there are no rainbow romances, no sermons on Western colonialism, no whining about the environment, no race and gender swapped characters, no Mary Sues. It's no preaching, it's just a good frickin' movie. Even Kitty Softpaws, who's the empowered female character, some would say is a feminist archetype, even she wants to be married. You see her give up her career and her life's ambitions just to be with Puss. Then there's the subplot with Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but in this rendition, Goldilocks is the adopted daughter of the Three Bears. They treat her like family, so she's the sister of Baby Bear. And yes, there's a Mr. and Mrs. Bear. So you don't have a Mr. and Mr. or Miss and Miss situation. So you see this strong recurring theme within the film of traditionalism, traditional marriage between a man and a woman, traditional families with children and adoption, etc. It's what family movies used to be about, which is taboo in today's age of movie making. I mean, could you imagine if this was a Disney or MCU film? None of that would have happened. They would have reversed engineered all of that. For starters, there would have definitely been a rainbow romance in this film, but Puss would no longer be the witty, charismatic, debonair alpha that he's been throughout the franchise. He'd have been turned into an idiot, like Thor. And Kitty Softpaw's character would have been changed too. She wouldn't be the feminine seductress that she's known for being. She would have been a raging misandrist, and they would have Mary Sued the out of her character. We would have seen her outmatch, outclass, and outwit Puss at every turn. And not just Puss. She would have dominated every male character in the movie. Not only that, but she would have been the focal point of the film. They probably would have deleted or demoted Puss to a background character. Kitty would have replaced him as the face of the franchise. In the same manner that we've seen Iron Man, Hawkeye, the Hulk, T'Challa, Loki, Captain America, and Thor, all of whom have been replaced or overshadowed by women in their own franchises. So she definitely would have taken on the mantle of Puss in Boots. She'd have taken his cloak, his boots, and saber. And maybe that's why this movie isn't being talked about. Like I mentioned earlier, 2022 was the age of the woke apocalypse, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish did not participate in it. So the studio is probably ashamed or embarrassed by that. Movies of this caliber don't play well in those Hollywood power circles. Anyway, go see this movie. Better yet, buy the digital download. Believe me, it's worth owning and watching more than once. I give it a 10 out of 10. So if you like this video, please give it a like and leave a comment in the comments section and share the link on your social media platforms. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you'll get alerts every time I upload new content. This is the Layman's Journal. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out.